Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. In this tutorial, we'll be making a gathered yoke blouse with Ankara print. So what I'm doing here is marking out the bust line. Now this is the back waist length divided by 2 plus quarter to half an inch is. I'm squaring that also to the midline. Next, we take the blouse length, 25 inches plus 2 inches hem allowance. So now we insert the back width measurement. The back width is 16 inches. 16 divided by 2, 8 inches. Squaring that also on the bust line. And now we insert the 1/5 round neck measurement, 3 1/4. And then the shoulder slope, 3/4 inch. Now I'm inserting the quarter bust measurement, 10 inches. And then marking the midpoint on the armhole line. Now we come in by 0.1. Next, to measure the area just after the armhole line. Now this is 2 inches. Take up that same 2 inches depending on what yours to be and mark on the arm line. And then mark 1.2 inches diagonally in between the armhole line and the bust line. Now this is for our armhole to form the armhole curve. So next we mark the neck depth. Now this is round neck measurements, 1/5 round neck measurement, 16 divided by 5. For this project is 3 1/4. And then come in by 2 inches from the armhole on the shoulder line. Now this is for the canoe neckline. So next we separate the main bodice and the yoke. The upper part will be the yoke, of course. And then we drop that line from the armhole to the blouse length. Next we insert the seam allowance. The side I'm adding 1 inch. And then the armhole, the shoulder and the neckline, half an inch seam allowance, So we cut out the pattern. So this is the back bodice. And now we draft the front bodice. Basically the same thing. The length, back width, bust line, everything is the same except for the shoulder slope and then the armhole. So the shoulder slope here is 1.5 inches. Neck width, the same thing, 1/5 round measurements. And then we'll form the shoulder line. Now we're taking up 1.5 inches for the chest line. Now this is just for the armhole curve, just to help with the curving of the armhole. And then inserting quarter bust circumference, 10 inches. So dividing that point, finding the midpoint, and then come in by half an inch. So we're going to form the armhole curve of the front bodice. Now the neck depth is the same thing with the back bodice, 3 1/4, and then coming also by 2 inches, just like we did the back bodice. So now we start the seam allowance, same thing as the back bodice, 1 inch, and then 1/2 inch armhole, shoulder and neck line. So we're going to be using the back lower part to cut the front, so the yoke will be the same. So our patterns are ready. Now this fabric is 2 yards, actually the fabric, Ankara fabric, 2 yards, and I'm taking 10 inches for the gathers. Now if you don't want it to be too full, you could do between 6 to 8 inches or 6 inches. So we're going to add 1/2 inch for joining the yoke and the main bodies. So we cut out. Now this is the back. We're going to cut the front same way. Now this is the front. Now I'm going to cut the yoke on the bias to give it a contrasting look, since we're going to use the same fabric for the yoke and the main bodies. And then we'll add 1/2 inch for joining the yoke and the main bodies, or the lower part. I think is better that way. Now we'll cut the front yoke also. This is the back, also on bias. Add the same 1/2 inch and cut out. So this is the front, and next we cut the lining for the yoke. Only the yoke is going to be lined. So next we cut the sleeve. Now the width of this sleeve is bicep plus 4 inches, and then I just determine the mid line, and then I rule down. So what I'm marking out here is the cap height, 4.5 inches, and then draw the line. The sleeve is a short sleeve. So next we insert the bicep measurements, 16 inches. We're going to be dividing that on either side of the midline. Now this side here is the front part of the sleeve, and the one closer to me is the back part of the sleeve. So next we draw that to the sleeve head, or connect the points. So we divide the back parts into 3 segments. Three equal segments. And then the front side of the sleeve into 4 equal segments. divide that also into 2. And the last segment also into 2. Now recall we divided the back side into 3 segments. We'll take up 3/4 inch on the first segment, and the last segment will divide also into 2. We'll divide that by 2, and then come down by 1/4 inch. On the first segment here, we take up 3/4 inch, and then the last segment 0.4 inch, and then we'll form the curve on the sleeve head. So next we insert the round sleeve, 13 inches, so 6 inches on either side of the midline, and then connect to the sleeve head. And then we insert seam allowance 1 inch, and then the sleeve head will add 1/2 inch seam allowance. So we cut the sleeve pattern out. We actually cut 2 sleeves at once, and then we'll notch only one side, so we'll know that we are notching the front, so we'll know that that side will be attached to the front. Like you can see. So label front and back. That side is attaching to the front and that side to the back. So now we'll begin sewing. We're going to join the shoulders of the main fabric and the lining separately, of course. So it's done, joined, and then give it a clean press. So we're going to sew the neck, with 1/2 inch allowance, just the neckline. So here we're pinning the neck. So we are done sewing the neckline. After sewing, we notch it so it will lay properly, and then give it a press, and then top stitch, and also top stitch on the fabric, and also join the sleeve, and then hem the sleeve as well. So now here is the gathers. We've already gathered it. We gave 1 inch from the edge and also 1 inch before gathering, and then spread the gather evenly. So now we're going to attach the lower part to the yoke, and then that's the front, attaching also to the front part of the yoke. So we're going to pin. We'll do the same thing also for the back lower parts. We'll attach the same thing also to the back, just the way we did the front. So we're done joining the sides, and now I just want to curve the hemline. I want it to have this curved shape, so I'm taking 6 inches up, and I'm going to be curving it to the center front. You could leave yours this way if you want, or curve it just like I'm doing. So now hemming this cuff part is somehow difficult, so you hem it first and then fold the second time. When you're done with the first all the way, then before you fold the second time. Now we're going to attach the sleeve. Now we're going to make sure that the front matches the front part of the bodice and the back matches the back part of the bodice. So we're going to pin all the way, and also we notch the sleeve head so it will match the shoulder. Now insert it this way and then pin. So we're going to fix the other sleeve as well, and then we're done.